We're about to take a journey together, but it's not your typical trip. We're heading to a place called Kwangdeok-myeon, and this is a journey through legends, really, a journey deep into the heart of a lost land. Right off the bat, here's the thing you need to know. Kwangdeok-myeon in Kaepung County is a place we physically cannot visit. You can't book a flight, you can't drive there, it's just on the other side of a border we're not allowed to cross.
Which, brings up a really big question, right? If every road is blocked and all the gates are locked, how in the world do you find your way to a place like this?
Well, we follow the only map that time can't touch. The folklore, the old tales, the memories of the people who once called this place home. These stories, they're going to be our guides.
So our first landmark isn't some old building or a statue. It's a river, the Hwanggang River. And its origin story is this incredible cautionary tale that's literally carved right into the landscape.
The story goes that at the foot of a mountain, there lived this incredibly wealthy man. I mean, his house was so huge it was practically a mountain itself. But his heart, well, that was another story. His greed was just endless, and one day a humble monk showed up at his door, just asking for some alms.
And get this, the old man's reaction is just shocking. He doesn't just say no, he yells at his servant to give the monk cow dung. It's this moment of unbelievable cruelty, and it really sets the stage for everything that's about to happen.
So when the head monk at the local temple hears about this, he decides to pay the man a visit himself. He gets the same hostile treatment, but this time the monk offers a little advice. He tells the rich man that the mountain is shaped like a dragon's back, and if he just cuts into it, his family will have fortune beyond their wildest dreams. It was the perfect bait, playing right into his greed. And of course, the man completely fell for it. He hired 100 workers, and they started digging. But what came out wasn't treasure. It was blood, gushing from the mountain. It turned into this massive flood that washed away the man, his giant house, everything. And in its place, it carved a brand new river into the earth. They say the water is still yellow to this day, and that's how the Hwanggang, the Yellow River, got its name. Okay, so from that river born of greed, let's head over to the coast, to a place with a totally different vibe. Our next stop is DrJBHE&M, which was once the lively, salty heart of the whole region. Just try to picture this, maybe 120 years ago. This place was the center of everything. DrJBHE&M was the biggest port for miles around, home to 80 families. Can you imagine the bustling streets, the smell of the sea, all the inns filled with weary travelers? It was so much more than a port. It was the absolute lifeblood of the community. And you can see how connected they were to the world around them in their daily rituals. Before heading out on the water, fishermen would perform what's called dangosa. Now, this wasn't just some old superstition. It was a real act of respect, a prayer for a safe return, and a good catch. It was them acknowledging the power of nature that really ruled their lives. And this is where it gets really cool. The landscape wasn't just scenery to them. It was a partner. They had this shaking rock that would sway in the wind and tell them when it was safe to fish. That's a natural weather forecast. Madang Rock was their sacred altar. All these landmarks had names and stories and functions. They were woven into the very fabric of their daily lives. All right, for our last stop, we're going inland to a place filled with deep spiritual mystery. We're stepping onto the grounds of the old Gyeongcheon temple site, a place where, honestly, the stories make it feel like the veil between worlds is just really thin. The lore of this place really revolves around three incredible things: a well that was said to defy the laws of physics, a gigantic ancient tree that was the heart of the village, and a stone so rare and special it was treated like a jewel. So let's start with that tree. Imagine, a magnificent 400-year-old Zelkova tree once stood right here. This wasn't just any old tree, it was a living landmark, a natural town square for everyone. And I mean, its size was the stuff of legend. The shade it cast was so huge that up to 50 people could all sit underneath it at the same time. Just think about the generations of villagers who shared stories and took shelter from the sun right there. And then you have this fascinating story of the Chimgangseok, or the Agarwood Stone. What's amazing about this is that it's not just a folktale, there are records. A Joseon Dynasty scholar named Hyang Kong actually wrote about finding a unique stone here that looked, felt, and even smelled like precious agarwood. It's just a perfect example of where history and legend blur together. So, after journeying through all these legends of rivers and rocks and ancient temples, you have to step back and ask, Why do these stories matter so much? What's the point?
And I think this really gets to the heart of it all. When a place itself becomes out of reach, its stories, they become its soul. We can't walk on the soil of Kwangdeok-myeon, but its identity, its culture, its spirit, all of that is perfectly preserved in these tales. The stories are like a living map that lets us visit anytime we want.
So that leaves us with one final thought. We just traveled through an entire region using nothing but stories that have been passed down for generations. And it really makes you wonder. If a place is built not just on soil and stone, but on the legends people tell about it, can it ever really truly be lost?